old door, worn by elements, guards the depot. The wind has blown a sand dune in front of it. You rattle the handle a bit, then push on the door with all your weight. It does not budge. Not only is it locked, it's also jammed shut.
We don't get in there. Frankly, you're just going to have to accept the fact that you can't get in through every single door.
No. We've gotten into every door thus far. That's what we do. We open doors. We're cops. That's our perk. Even Everard knew that's a part of our MO.
Relax. No one's hiding in there. If we can't open it, others can't either. And thus they can't get in.
The porter reel is just what you needed. The reel's attached to the apparatus with a satisfying click. The tape is routed behind the magnetic reader. You press the large button marked Commencer, and the tape starts spinning. There's a small delay before the song starts playing. It sounds like someone's moving in the room, getting comfortable. Then the organ starts playing a simple, melancholic tune, echoing in the hallway. A lone singing voice joins in, telling you about the tiniest church in Cessons, surrounded by even tinier yard. You almost feel the seaside mist on your skin. It's mega sad. A click, then silence for a bit. Then the tape stops spinning. The scruffy-haired little boy kicks a stone while the...
What bad people?
I don't think questioning 4-year-olds without their parents present is gonna crack the case.
Then we're definitely doing it.
Everything's still cool here, officer.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull...
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? Just a moment.
10-4, come in, officer. Over. 10-4, sir, glad to hear that. I'll write down that there is no need to issue a new one to you then. Over. Roger that, 10-10, over and out.
Now it's turning into a kind of a snow limbo. What? But I told you she's my friend. Please don't make me give her up, detective. Get someone else. There's a ton of drivers here. You're not gonna put a bullet in your head if you blow it, are you? Because she's on the edge, man.
Imagine it, an explosion of stars. Goodbye world of men, money, and machines.
I thought you were a different kind of cop.
The realization that you've used his friendliness and goodwill for your own ends. Remember, you're doing it for the bigger investigation. This is important. Relax. Ask.
Here.
The keys to a motor lorry. Pretty complex. Looks like a chain lock.
Her lorry's still here. Down past the Statue of Philippe. The cabin is green. You can get in there with these. That's all I know.
When did she leave?
Last Friday. She left them to me because she trusted me. So I can get it out of the way when the jam breaks loose. Otherwise,
The other drivers would have to tow it or break in to get the machines moving.
If they break in, they would find what's hidden inside. Something incriminating.
no. I don't know. I bet you are.
And he's sorry he couldn't be what he wants to be. A good person. His last line, his revenge on the world.
Thank you for your cooperation, sir. I know it was hard, but you did the right thing.
You don't really think so.
I really do. If I didn't, I wouldn't be in the RCM. Take care, sir.
This screen found, A to Z, Contemporain, is parked in the shadow of the ruins looming overhead. It's seen better days.
This is the one our man pointed to.
You push the key into the lock and turn. It makes a cracking sound. Then the door pops back a few centimeters. You can just... The smell of cigarettes and perfume welcomes you. The cabin inside is plastered with old movie posters. Actresses smile from the walls. There's a radio transmitter in the front and a toolbox tucked under the driver's seat. Some tools lie scattered near the pedals. You wedge yourself under the steering wheel to get a better look. Seems like the few tools lying around here, a hammer, a pair of pliers, a rusty wrench, have been casually thrown there by the disorganized driver. But one odd detail does catch your eye. A piece of sandpaper has been glued to the throttle. Sandpaper adds extra grip.
Sandpaper? A novel technique? Yes?
Do the honors, he thinks. Connect it yourself.
Which means that the missing lady driver was present at the lynching. At least we can now ask Titus some concrete questions about it.
The movie stars are still smiling from the walls. The radio transmitter sits on the center console and a faint smell of perfume is in the air. Looks like the frequency dial is absent. It requires a key to work, but the key has been removed. Likely by the missing lady driver.
Strange. There are so many radio stations saved here. Must be over 100 at least.
It has to be an advanced model to fit so many frequencies next to each other without blending them together.
For contacting an entire fleet of lorrymen, for example. This is all shortwave, UW and UKV. Looks like we are dealing with an impressive organizational tool. The nerve center of a huge operation. With quite a range too.
A 20-kilometer radius at least. Perhaps extended by an attachable antenna that's not here right now.
Doesn't look like it. It's completely inoperable without the dial key.
The smell of 1,000 cigarettes, some dead actresses, and a rusty old toolbox under the seat. A metallic drawer slides out from the seat. It's empty, except for a folded newspaper. It's an issue of Périphérique from last Wednesday. A piece of paper falls out from its pages. It looks like an article ripped out from a radio enthusiast magazine. Complex mathematical equations explain the basics of something called the ULAN frequency system.
The ULAN frequency system? I've never heard of that before. I know of FM, AM, UKV, but...
The pull-out toolkit slides back into its nest. The rest is as it was. Radio, posters, a trace of motor oil smell under all the cigarettes. These are movie posters featuring starlets from long-forgotten films from the 20s, the teens, even the 90s of the last century. One of them particularly catches your eye, a centerfold of an ingenue attached right above the back seat. The actress is draped in a sheath dress, one of her shoulders bared. The faded remains of an autograph run across the poster. She's looking past the camera. A feeling of tenderness washes over you. A longing even, perhaps. And gentle tragedy. The actresses and you close the rusty old lorry door.
Great. I think we got everything. A word, detective? Before we return to Joyce? Alright, we've finished here. Let's quickly debrief and go over what we found, so we don't do it in front of the company rep. Honestly, I'm quite worried by what we've seen so far. The evidence seems to point to a rather extensive and well-organized operation. I'm especially intrigued by that radio transmitter, particularly the sheer number of stations it can connect. Looks like this alleged drug trade casts a wide net. I'm not sure what the ULAN frequencies are all about, but they may hold some significance. Perhaps it's a better way to connect between fleets while avoiding frequency bleed, or maybe it's used to tap into RCM networks. And last but not least, it's Ruby's cabin we found. This is an undeniable connection to the Union. We should return to the murder case, see what Joyce tells us about the lynching. When we are done for the day, I call my station and suggest our narcotics department look into it. There are more than enough grounds to start an official investigation, sometime later when we are done here. We do not want to get caught in that. The fact that one hasn't started already gives me pause, an investigation I mean. Especially if the Madrid grouping is involved, and I can't imagine they aren't. It's certainly worrisome. All the same, I don't like the idea of internal affairs descending on the matter. That won't help anyone either. One way or another, they seem to be. Logistically, if nothing else. But don't expect to bust this open during our stay here. At best, this is an angle we can use against them, to other ends, as extra ammunition. Debrief over, after you.
The Coppernado is back. What do you want? Like hell you have. There is no local drug trade. This place is as clean as a rifle. Go back to Jamrock and ask the local junkies how clean your streets are in Precinct 41 Kilos.
We'll do that. In the meantime, did you know that there's an abandoned lorry at the intersection that was used to move raw ingredients for drugs from Terminal B to Jamrock? We know Ruby was the driver. We know that's your affiliation with her. Detective, you want to deliver the coup de grâce? Thank you. You're right, Titus. There is no local drug trade because it's all controlled by you. You're the drug trade.
That's a mighty interesting theory. I guess that's what you would need to do, theoretically. A big, strong, state-run monopoly would outcompete the runts on the street.
Yeah, man. Theoretically, that's what you would do. To get rid of the gangs, the dealers, even some of the junkies.
You would need good, trustworthy people to take their place, of course. Hardy men to run such a monopoly. For the good of the community, of course. Boo fucking who. People will always be taking drugs. Might as well do it clean and organized.
Yeah, that's what the labor movement is all about. Clean and organized. And the Hardy Boys are running it.
Theoretically, of course. We're just talking politics here. My answer to your drug accusation is, how dare you? Go fuck yourself. You sure do love long walks through Theory Town, don't you? Well, I'm thirsty now. Thirsty for beer. Got any less theoretical questions, Cobb?
He doesn't let it show, but must be a little impressed. You've put a lot of things together, fast.
Hello, dear. Thank you for doing that, dear.
Her smile is wary. Her earlier ebullience has left her.
Morel still isn't feeling well. I convinced him to stay at Gary's to get some rest. I'm afraid the cold has really gotten to him. I'm sorry, dear. You've had to drudge through them so many times. Such is field work. A young person's game, as they say. Morel will eventually, or we'll talk Gary into going back out, perhaps.
The lieutenant stares at his shoe, caked in mud. He doesn't say anything.
I absolutely understand, sweetie. It's for the best, believe me. And thank you for everything you've done for us, truly.
Very strange. You get the sense she wouldn't have let you do this, even if you did volunteer. Why?
Different? How? I'm in doubt, sweetie. That's all. Everyone is now and then. It's, a strange feeling. I haven't really told this to anyone, but you are a police officer.
And when a police officer asks, you must answer.
Do you ever wonder if some lovely story from your childhood is just that? A story? Or a dream? Seeing the Insulindian phasmid was just a story I used to tell people. I didn't really think about whether it was real or not. Morel's so proud of it. He always tells everyone.
A terrible sting in the heart. Regret.
No, at least I don't think I did, but Morel was so eager to believe my story was evidence of the phasmid's existence that I'm some queen of the cryptozoologists. That, and for years his belief made me believe too.
That I am a queen? An extraordinary witness to grace.
But now, we're both getting old and he's still working himself sick out in those reeds looking for it. But what if I was just wrong? I think I was.
The lieutenant opens his notebook, but doesn't write anything. He's hiding. These things are tough on him. Matters of love, not violence or deceit. But it has, hasn't it? A seed can only bear what's inside. The seed of love is black and oily.
You might be right, Detective. I was a paraplegic before we met. He didn't know before I came in on our first date. If I weren't the queen of the cryptozoologists, if I didn't tell him that story.
She has to swallow to relax her throat. It's keeping her from talking.
Maybe. But then why do I not dare tell him? I've wasted enough of your time with this drama. I really must stop talking about it lest I start crying and waste more of your time. My point is, the Insulindian phasmid probably does not exist. And you were right to put your bug-chasing days behind you. Yes, I should go now. Poor Morel is running a fever. I need to get him home to Jamrock before we overstay our welcome with Gary. Oh no, thank you, but I can get there on my own. This old thing is gas-powered. And then a taxi home. It's not so bad. You're welcome, sweetie. I'm glad it helped you, even though it turned out to be a
dream. Like that, she drives off. The gas tank enters quietly as she gets to the doors, then pushes them open. Outside, it's snowing.
We should go to...
Somewhere out there, a kilometer to the southeast, a gust of wind shakes the felled building, rattling dusty windows, beckoning with strange coldness, to ask the wind once more.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? Until you come up with something at that intersection, I'm afraid I have little else to tell you. But I'll try. Ask. I'm glad to hear, officer. I'm sure you'll find out just what that means soon enough.
She simply nods.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? That's the man who was killed. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question. Better not tie the forestay to the backstay on this.
She wants to answer the question. Protocol keeps her from it.
Yes, my eyes on the harbor have sent word to that effect. What have you discovered? Yes. And... will you start an official investigation?
She's trying to conceal her excitement, but the slight glimmer in her green eyes tells you otherwise. The lieutenant is about to interject. Cut it.
If there is an investigation, it will be part of an ongoing operation, subject to confidentiality. I'm sure you understand.
Of course, detectives. In any case, you've held up your end of our arrangement. I trust you with the rest. Now it's my turn. I wouldn't normally break protocol like this, but the situation demands it. If you don't solve this murder, I'm afraid we may have a bloodbath on our hands. I have an indirect role to play, I'm sad to say. My employer experienced a momentary lapse of faith in me. In that moment, they elected to deploy a private military contractor as an insurance measure. They called it my security detail. Absolutely not. These mercenaries are muscle, pure and simple. They are meant to intimidate the Union into surrendering.
Who are they, exactly?
Crenell, an Oranese military company. As far as I know, 3 arrived in Martinez. They report to me sporadically, but they do not answer to me. To be frank, our relationship is deteriorating. They wear ceramic armor, have semi-automatic weapons, and years of combat experience. They also have trauma and stressor disorder, and no idea how to conduct themselves in an urban civilian environment.
So, what happened?
The story is, one of them, the Colonel, I don't know his real name, sexually assaulted a local woman while he was drunk and separated from his unit. This allowed some of the more militant Union members to subdue him. He was taken out behind the whirling in rags and lynched last Sunday night. Nothing. Mr. Clare refuses to let me into the harbor. I have not been able to discuss this matter with anyone there. The remaining 2 Crenell contractors carry out their orders, for now. It's a smokescreen. In secret, they are conducting an independent military tribunal into the lynching. Once this investigation is concluded, executions will follow.
What is the nature of this so-called investigation?
Whether to execute one, some, or all of the Union militants. My only hope is that yours provides a single, concrete suspect before they indiscriminately pick theirs. Simply put, if you don't pin this on someone good and do it fast, they will identify and execute everyone present at the lynching. This in turn will force the Union to respond.
They would have to project strength and power.
The Debarders have over 2,000 men. It will be 1,000 to 1.
Have you ever seen a Hornet invade a beehive, Lieutenant? It's not pretty. These men work in tandem using semi- and fully automatic firearms. Their armor is virtually impenetrable to muzzle-loaded weapons, even yours. Most Union workers don't have guns at all. As I said, a bloodbath. It doesn't have to be like this, Lieutenant W. Frater Dubois. One single concrete suspect delivered into civil court, a good one, and I may be able to defuse this situation. They've gone to ground, as it were. I don't recommend seeking them out. For one, they're likely to be armed to the teeth. They don't have the same respect for the Revachol citizens' militia as I do. To put it bluntly, they think you're vigilantes. Ghetto savages. It will not be a fruitful meeting.
Vigilantes. You're a professional officer of the only legitimate authority in Revachol.
Somehow, I doubt that lecturing them on the legitimate use of force will persuade them to stand down. You're likely to run into them eventually. When that happens, I'll be in a better position to mediate if I don't appear involved.
One is obviously the scab leader at the harbor gates. The one chanting the idiotic slogans. He's barely maintaining his disguise. The other has a vantage point in a building south of the roundabout. They were keeping tabs on you while you were canvassing the lorry drivers.
That may be so. I still hope you heed my advice. There's no need to kick the hornet's nest.
For all your talk of averting this catastrophe, the situation at the gate is a powder keg. Does this not bother you?
Of course it bothers me, Lieutenant. But my hands are tied. How would my employer react if it appeared I were intervening on behalf of the Union?
Your concern may be appearances. Ours is keeping the peace.
That would afford a good vantage point. In any case, it's practically inaccessible.
Where is your radio for contacting them, if I may ask? Do you have an earpiece?
Heavens no. I'm not an undercover agent. There's a short wave at the ship's wheel. I hope I can answer it better. If you mean did I see him alive, yes. But I did not know him.
You don't know how you know. It's not written on her face, nor in her voice. But she had sympathy for this man.
Liked is a bit strong. He was the most charismatic among them. He handled all the talking. His departure left a major gap in the group's communication skills. Lely, his service name, a nom de guerre most likely. He wouldn't divulge his full name. Only one of them did. A bad sign if there ever was one. He was 40, or 50. It's hard to say which. He had a combat injury on his lower jaw. It made it difficult to estimate his age. or gauge his facial expressions.
This matches the dental reconstruction we saw on the body, and Classier also mentioned it, I believe. What else? Nationality? Accent?
He was, Occidental, I think. Light brown hair, a mixed accent, Oranese, or Messinian, maybe. His injury gave him an accent all his own. In a way, it was humanizing. He had to learn to speak through it. Through the injury. That's all I know, I guess. I only met him once. Or he didn't. This is information passed on to me from some teenagers loitering around the canal. I cannot testify by it. That the man was killed because he assaulted a local woman. I've asked around a bit. This seems to be the accepted story around Martinez.
This does not come as news to us, but still. To your knowledge, where did this assault take place, if you know?
Last Sunday night, at the Whirling in Rags, the hostel by the gates. Supposedly, the colonel was drunk, maybe on narcotics too. Either way, he's alleged to have sexually assaulted a woman. Sometime later, a group of dock workers got their hands on him. That's a good question, officer. I don't have the slightest idea. As I said, it's a rumor. About a rumor. In any case, it's what the colonel's remaining colleagues believe. Until the executions start? Truthfully, I don't know. It depends on their progress identifying the members of the lynch mob, and their impatience.
They don't report their progress to you?
Not on this matter. I'm afraid they consider this a personal initiative.
5 days, not more. Maybe sooner.
It's a matter of days, not weeks. I am sorry to have been the bearer of bad news. If there is anything else I can help you with, please ask.
She reaches for the photo, takes it, then holds it in her hand for about half a minute in silence.
It was taken with a Trigat not long ago. This is the man's upper body. There were no more markings on his hands or legs.
Her mouth is relaxed. The accordion lines near her mouth vanish. The pearls of her eyes move slowly on the photo's surface. She has no excess of emotions for this cadaver. Has she seen dead bodies before? It's likely.
Sorry. I was trying to see if I can read the web of interdependencies between these points. The stars. I can't. But that's how you read this story. The points themselves don't have letters, numbers, anything. Their size, location on the body, and distance from each other tells you what they represent. Port cities. On the oceans. This is an Oranese map of the waterways, a sailor's tattoo worn by wayfarers of the Delorian century. As early as 300 years ago, the sailors would mark their bodies to map their travels. Is there anything else I can help you with?